Oh boy, it is such a hot day. I'm surprised there's any water left. It rained like 2 weeks ago. The river actually flowed. And now this is about all that's left. It's still full of life though. There's like diving beetles and frogs and dragonfly larvae. See if I can catch something. The water's super hot. It's not pleasant even to stick my hand in. I'm amazed any of these creatures are even living in here. Look, little tadpole. Anyway, I wanted to talk about this plant right here. Looks like clovers or sorrel, something along that nature. Oh, there's a little frog. Look at those tiny frogs. It's amazing how much life the water brings. This is it right here. Looks like a 4-leaf clover, but it's definitely not a lucky plant. I'd say it's a wild food. It certainly has been used by the native people in Australia as a food for generations. However, it's toxic. It has a compound in it, like many other foods actually. Even shellfish, raw fish have this compound. It's called thiaminase. Usually you can get rid of it by cooking, but the compound of thiaminase in plants is very thermostable, which means that cooking it, whether boiling, roasting, you can't get rid of it. And what it does, it depletes the thiamine stores in your body, which is vitamin B1. And so you eat this starchy. I collected some of it here. These are the sporocarps of the plant, and this is the part that you eat. I'll talk more about these later, but you grind these up and it makes a kind of flour, and you can make a bread out of it or a porridge. But you eat that over a few days. You don't notice that at first. It fills you up, it's starchy, you get nutrients from it. But over time, your vitamin B1 levels will be depleted. And it's very important because it works in your ATP system, which allows your cells to use energy. And without it, no matter how much you eat, you'll slowly lose energy and starve to death. It's quite a terrible way to go. It's called beriberi disease when that happens. That's what happened to Burke and Wills. They're famous Australian explorers that went with a group of people from Victoria up to the Gulf of Carpentaria and back again. But they got stranded and they had no food. And this was the sole thing they had pretty much to live off. It's a sad story when you read their journal accounts, because they thought they would be fine. And although they're small and quite a pain honestly to find and to collect, they're in the dirt. This one doesn't have any. Around water actually, you don't find much because they use these to grow. And when they dry out, then they form these again. And they'll last like up to 50 years in the sand or in the dirt until another flooding event comes along. See if I can find some on a plant. No luck. But they grow on a rhizome, which spreads out, and on a rhizome, generally there'll be like 5 or so of these sporocarps. It does take a long time to collect, but when you have enough, it's quite a substantial feed. You don't want to eat this for more than 2 days in a row. You don't want to harm your body, of course, and it doesn't taste particularly good. It's a little bitter, but it is starchy, so it will fill you up, and it will give you that energy and motivation to continue if you're in a bit of a rut. Out here, that can happen pretty easily when it's just desert for hundreds of kilometers and nothing else. It's an interesting plant because even though this is rarely wet, they're pretty specially adapted to water. They have these floating leaves that are almost like lily pads, and they can get pretty big, like that big. And then they also have an underwater leaf. It's a ground cover, and it's fairly popular now in the aquarium trade as a ground cover. It's like a little single leaf on a small stem, and it'll spread along the bottom. That's more common though in deeper water. The floating leaves generally come up to about 1/2 meter, and beyond that they won't bother, and they'll just grow along the bottom. So yeah, that's about it. I'll see you in the next video.